my name is Tracy Swinson. I'm married to Gary Swinson. I have 3 children. My eldest is 21, my daughter's 18, and my youngest is 15. I work from home. I run my own recruitment company, and I'm a paraplegic. I was shot in an armed robbery in 2004. So I'm quite high. It's a T2, so basically from above the breasts down. I felt a lump, and instinctively I kind of knew, and I immediately tried to push my appointment, because my appointment was only booked for June, and I felt the lump in, I think it was around about March, April. They could only help me out the late April, so I went for a scan, and they first said it looked like a blocked duct, and then they sent me to another specialist, and she did the biopsy and everything, and it came back positive for breast cancer. I must say I was quite calm, kind of just saying, well, you know what, we'll take one day at a time, and I'll deal with each day as it comes. Then I was referred to Dr. Carol Ben, and she was phenomenal. You know, I mean, when she gave me the result, I started crying, and the only thing I could think about is I'm going to lose my hair and I'm going to be vomiting. And those were my only 2 concerns, you know, like I don't want this. But she was actually so relaxed about it. She kind of like said to me, it's only a teeny cancer. I don't want you to stress, but this is what we have to do. And she said to me, look, it's your choice. You can have one breast removed, or if you want us to do both. And instinctively, I just said, no, take both of them. And she came back after the op 3 days later, and she said, you know, there was cancer in your left breast as well. So it was such a brilliant and lucky call on my side. I promise you, I just thought, you know what, if I have to go the rest of my life with no breasts, it's better than having that constant worry, could it be in the other breast, you know. So I mean, it was a good call from my side. I was referred to my oncologist, Dr. Demetrio. We went forward with obviously chemo sessions for breast cancer. It was basically a back-to-back 2-week session, and then a 3-week break, and then again back-to-back. But obviously, being a paraplegic, there were all sorts of implications. I ended up with a super bug, ended up with problems with the UTI infections, and then I had blood clots on my lungs. So it was like one thing rolled into the other. But you know what, I kind of just said, Trace, just deal with what today brings you. Tomorrow we can worry about whatever else is on the plate. And I must say, for me, it went kind of smooth. You know, I'm not going to lie, I lost my hair, was as sick as a dog. All the medications they gave you for nausea and that, nothing worked, nothing. To such a point where there were certain smells that would just trigger me off, that it could be a very sweet perfume, the smell of garlic. It was like really strange things. And I mean, like my kids would get a pizza and go into the cottage and eat, and I could be sitting in my lounge and I could smell the garlic. You know, that's how heightened your senses become as well, yeah. So it was a huge challenge. I mean, just the breaks in between, you just start feeling your body slowly recovering, and then you're back in for your next session, you know. And you are so weak. Me having to use my arms to get myself around the house and that. At one point I was like, I can't do this, I have to just lie in bed. I didn't have any physical strength, but yeah, you know, after my last session was 3 weeks ago, and that was it, done and dusted. I had this whole eating plan organized. I was going to eat healthy, I was going to eat tomatoes and lettuce and, you know, live off salads and fish, and that didn't happen. I couldn't even bring myself to eat when my family used to sit down for dinner because I was so nauseous and ill, yeah. So I would say, you know, just listen to what your body's craving for and give it. You know what, you can go on the healthiest diets and whatever afterwards, but I think just to keep yourself going and giving yourself enough energy and kilojoules to go during the day, just, you know, take what your body's prepared to digest. That's the whole thing, you know. Your mouth the lining on your mouth completely breaks down. You get ulcers, it's sore when you brush your teeth. I would definitely go with the salt and bicarb and water mixture. Works like a charm. Don't use Listerine or anything like that, because trust me, your mouth will be on fire for a couple of days. So, you know, I think that for me was one of my saving graces, actually, you know. And try not to eat any hard crusted foods like, you know, bread crusts, because it cuts the inside of your mouth. And if that gets infected, then you have to go on antibiotics and all sorts of stuff. So it's little things like that that they don't actually tell you at rehab. I mean, it's at chemo. So it's the little things like that where you craving a nice slice of toast and you bite into it, and the next thing your mouth's bleeding, your gums are bleeding, you know. So I definitely suggest a mouthwash with water and bicarb. I'm actually on a hospital plan, not a medical aid. So a lot of the costs were not covered out of hospital, although they did cover the oncology, but not 100%. So there were a lot of bills that came back in about the region of about 30,000 Rand, which obviously wasn't covered by medical aid. And thank goodness for my Platinum Life policy, because seriously, I wasn't able to work at all. And I actually literally phoned my clients, told them what was happening, and said, listen, I'm closing down my business while I'm going through this. If there is anything urgent, I'll try and help you the best I can. And it did. I mean, my business was right up here, and it basically ticked down slowly as I stopped, you know, helping my clients and that kind of thing while I was recovering. So my income was also slashed at the same time. So yeah, it was a good call, I think, on my side to go with that policy. And seriously, when I took it out, I still thought to myself, you know, I hate insurance people. I hate doing this because sometimes it's a grudge buy. Like, you just do it to get them off the phone. And I just thought, it's 150 Rand a month. I'm actually just going to pay it. I'm not going to probably ever need it. So, and I left it. And I promise you, my first consultation with Dr. Ben was 1,000 Rand. And let me tell you something. I panicked because I said to my husband, I don't know how we're going to pay for this, you know. And at the same time, his business went under. So it was compounded, but in a way it worked out well, because when I was too weak to actually do stuff with my clients, assist them with recruitment, he was picking up the bits and helping. So it was almost like a divine plan somewhere, you know, that it was meant to be that way. It was about a month after I signed up, they phoned me up and they had products for me, and I was like, okay, what else do they want me to buy? You know, I'm a very skeptical person, and I got products, and then I told my mother-in-law about it. I said, you know, my mom died from breast cancer, and I get along very, very well with my mother-in-law, and I just said to her, listen, it's 150 Rand a month. Don't argue about it, just take this policy out, because you don't know. I said, you know, you've been fine up until now, touch wood, but you actually don't know. And she's also taken it out. And then when I was diagnosed, I mean, the people that processed the claim, everything, they were so efficient. I processed claims for robbery and that kind of thing. I mean, a recent one went through in November. I was only paid out like a day ago. I mean, that's how slow other insurance companies actually are when it comes to paying out. And then I actually thought, well, you know what, this is a very good product, because the after-sale service was brilliant. Just that phone call saying, how are you feeling? Are you coping? You know, what can we do from our side? I mean, you don't get that anywhere else. So I think you guys are actually doing a tremendous job. And I actually got an email yesterday asking how do they go about getting onto this Platinum Life, and I said, oh well, I'll let you know tomorrow, because I had someone phone me. I didn't have to, you know, go out and obviously buy the policy. So, And I've put it on Facebook. I mean, I've had a lot of people coming back, how do you do this, who did you speak to? I think like for that it's just like the sentiment. Like it's not just we're here to take your money and hopefully you won't get sick, you know. It's like we're here and we care and, you know, we'll see you through it. It mainly covered my, I would say 40% medical expenses, and the balance just went into making sure that the kids' school fees were covered, my business expenses were covered, so I could carry it. Yeah, that was really what it covered. But you know, if you think about it, I mean, coming out of it now, I've still got a couple of other bills that need to be settled. For instance, your CAT scans, your bone scans. My medical aid doesn't cover the full amount, they only cover a portion. So there is probably about 12 grand now that I have to pay out. But like I said, you know, if I didn't have that, I would have been probably sitting with about 40,000-50,000 rands worth of bills that I would have had to cover out of my own pocket. Yeah. You know, and I think 150 rand is such a small, I mean, you can't even go out for a meal on 150 rand. So, you know, I just, all my friends now, they like, I say to them, listen, have you been tested? Are you checking your breasts? Best you go now, you know. It's like quite a thing, like I'm saying to everyone, you know, don't ignore it, don't. And the reality in it is that if my daughter's carrying the same gene, they've already sat her down and discussed with her that at the age of 33, she's going to probably have to have both her breasts removed. And I mean, she's 18, she's still got a whole good, you know, 10, 15 years ahead of her before she has to face a reality like that, you know. So it's, yeah, it's life. Listen to your body, because even though we're paralyzed, I think you're more in tune with what's going on within your body. So I would say listen to what your body's telling you. My advice is to really just, you know, follow through with the treatment. There are going to be days where you feel you can't go forward, but you know what, like I said, the only coping mechanism I had was to take each day as it came. Because if I started thinking, 2 weeks time I've got chemo, I would have found an excuse not to go. So for me, it's just deal with each day as it comes. Try and laugh a lot, because I know it can become very dull and gloomy, and it's very, very depressing going and waiting, you know, at the oncologist rooms for your chemo. Try and take somebody with you for support to keep your mind off what's actually going on and what's going on with the people around you. And don't be afraid to ask questions. You know, doctors do speak up here. You know what, it's your body, it's your life, you need to take control of it. If you don't know something, or if you're unsure, or you want to know what they're giving you and why, ask those questions, because I think if you have peace of mind, you're able to cope with it a lot better. You know, often my oncologist would just say, oh, it's this, and she'd write out a script, and I'd say, but you need to talk me through this. Talk to me in layman's terms. Why is my body doing this? Then she would say, okay, well, it might be because of this, we'll have to do a CAT scan. So I think it's very important, you know, just to listen to your body and ask a lot of questions. And also there's a lot of support groups, which unfortunately I didn't really get involved with, because I was also, you know, when you're sick, you don't feel like socializing and that. But I wish I had, because there were, I think a lot of people who have been through similar situations do have good advice to give you know, things that, for instance, not dyeing your hair, like apparently dyeing your hair is not good for you, you know. I mean, but doctors aren't going to talk about that. Their primary concern is like how they're going to treat you and how they're going to get you better. But between that and you getting your chemo, your hair falls out, you look terrible. And you know, for me, I used to put makeup on every day, regardless of how terrible I felt, because I thought, well, if I look okay, then maybe I'll feel okay, but that's just a mental thing, you know. So I think also just treat yourself and look after yourself, you know. Don't be too hard on yourself. And for people who are paraplegics in wheelchairs, I can only suggest one thing. If you're going on chemo, make sure they put you on macrodentin. It eliminates any superbugs caused through the catheterizing. You won't be in as much pain either. So, like also bone density, you lose a lot of bone density. Eat a lot of products with milk, like yogurt and things. I've been on Arthrogard for ages now, but purely because I'm in the wheelchair, but it definitely does help because you get a lot of bone ache and that kind of thing. And it's not a chemical based product, it's a natural product, and it works well. So, but I think, each person, it's their journey, and if they want my number, they can phone, but other than that, like I said, you've got to listen to what your body's telling you.